Hi everyone, it's Sylwia Kuchenna. Welcome to Back to Self podcast. Today we will be talking about a topic that is very close to my heart, and we will be talking about compulsive control. Compulsive control is so much more than just people who are controlling. It's so much more than manipulative behaviors. It's so much more than just trying to control everyone so we can feel good about ourselves. Where it's coming from, what is the impact, what are the beliefs behind that need of control, and also what we will cover today is the difference between different types of control, because we can't put control as such into one box. There's different types, different wounds, different reasons, different behaviors. So this is what I'm going to cover today. So compulsive control, it's more than just the need to control people, ourselves, environment. It's a strategy. It's a coping strategy that helped us survive. It's based on huge emotional wound. Control at some point in your life helped you to survive, helped you feel safe. And that's how I would like you to think about control. Compulsive control is a huge survival strategy. It's a survival mechanism. People who have the need to control not only themselves but also the other people, they are not really living. They're constantly surviving every day, surviving every moment. So somehow, just for a little bit, they can feel safe. There was time in your life when that perfectly was doing its job. There was time in your life where you needed that control. You needed to understand and to take control of your environment so you could feel safe, so you could survive. If you would look at children, we don't really are born controlling. We're very careless. We're very free. We want to explore. We're very curious. So what happens in our life when that development is stopped? And all of the sudden, we are surviving. All of the sudden, we're not only looking at ourselves and the world as safe space, but we are aiming to control so we can feel safe. So where is this coming from? First of all, it's a deep emotional wound, fear of unpredictability, where our safety really dependent on the environment. So what do we do in those situations? We control the environment because that's what we do. That's what feels safe. That's what we can control. Another thing what I would like you to remember about compulsive control is that it has a partner, and the partner is always responsibility. So people who have or who are struggling with compulsive control, they will always take huge responsibility for themselves and for other people. So it's not only about them blaming themselves, blaming other people. They don't do that. What they do instead, they take responsibility for everyone, for how people feel, for how they feel, how everyone is living. And they not only try to make themselves safe, but also make sure that everyone around them is also safe. So people who have the compulsion to control, they also are very responsible people, overly responsible, which in long term can be very exhausting, which in long term it might feel like a burden. It's constant pressure of keeping everyone happy, keeping yourself happy, and it leads to burnout. It could lead to depression. It's a huge baggage to carry on. So why do people need control? Why do we do that in the first place? How come we develop that need? How come we develop that coping mechanism? How come we learn that this coping mechanism is a great way to survive? Because it allows us to become managers of our lives. It allows us to have some kind of control, to have a say how the life is going for us. It helps us become the leaders of our life. It helps us feel like we can cause something, that we have a say, that we are important. It helps us feel like we can have a say, that we can have an impact on our life. So if the environment, the people that who meant to love you, meant to protect you, can't give you that safety, with control, you will learn that you have that say. Okay, they can't bring you that safety, but if you will be the good manager, if you will be the good leader, if you will have a say, you can bring yourself to that safety. Let's look at different environments. So first household that could bring and could, where you could develop the compulsive control was very chaotic household, where nothing was predictable, where maybe there was addiction in the house, where dad's behavior were unpredictable. And for you to feel safe, you started to control. So you were checking on mom, checking on the siblings. How's everyone? Maybe you were checking the level of alcohol in the fridge. Oh, so let me just check how much more he will be drinking, so I will know to what state he's going into. Or let me check how much money we have, so I know how are we then for food for the next couple of days. Let me just check if the siblings are okay. Let me just check if mom is happy, so then she will not have to deal with that or deal with us. Let me just keep the siblings quiet, so they will know how to behave, so mom will have a space to deal with that. Another form of unpredictability could be when we never know what we're coming back to from, let's say, from school, from preschool. We don't know whether they are already drinking or not. We don't know whether they're already fighting or not. So what do? We control ourselves. We control our emotions. Maybe we'll look at the time. We constantly do things according to the clock. Everything needs to be planned, so nothing will take us by surprise. So life will not take us by surprise. Maybe we had to manage lunch boxes. Maybe we had to manage uniforms. So that chaos prevented children from healthy development. So instead, rather than being curious about life, we had to control. We had to survive. And huge survival coping mechanism was control. Another household could be neglect and emotional withdrawal. So maybe mother who was depressed, a mother who was not available, a mother who wasn't the container for our emotions, a mother who was not able to deal with ourselves, to deal with our emotions. Physical neglect, emotional neglect, these things are also have a huge impact on our development, because neglect doesn't allow us to have triggers for our development. Everything is just plain. Everything is just invisible. We are becoming invisible. With neglect, we feel almost like we didn't exist. We're questioning our existence. So how can we check if we exist? How can we control that we are existing? Sometimes we could harm ourselves just to feel somehow visible, feel something different than just emotional pain. With neglect also, we might overeat the food. We might actually control the food in every regard. So we might be very controlling as to how much we're taking. And neglect also causes us not to look after ourselves, but it's more about external. We would control more the environment than ourselves. If we are invisible, we will engage in activities that will help us feel alive. It could be very risky behaviors, could be unsafe sex, taking drugs, alcohol. We could harm ourselves. So all of that will help us control our visibility. Sometimes with that, it's also being the great student. We will control how much we learn. We could be visible somewhere else. We can't be visible at home, but we might be visible at school. So we will control that we will become the best student in our class. So we will be the favorites of our teachers. Or we will do always extra homework. So we will become very visible at school. We might become therapists for our friends so that they will need us. So we can give, and in that form, we will be pretty much visible for them. Another household where compulsive control could develop is the high pressure household, very strict upbringing. So maybe one of the parents was perfectionist. The other parent was maybe very critical. We got criticized for little things, but we would take it as massive personal attack. So in that kind of household, we would always watch what we say, what we think, what we feel, how we are showing our emotions. We would always try to be perfect and not allowing ourselves to make any mistakes. As a result of that, of course, our inner critic would be to the roof. So it would be very active. Part of it is because this is something that we know. This is something that we have grown up with, and we never once questioned whether they were right or not, whether a mother who was constantly trying to be perfect, is that right? We never checked and we never challenged that rigidity in that household. We just went along with it, and that's how our personality was formed. So as you can see, your childhood experiences had huge impact on you. And what I want you to understand as well, that compulsive control is not your personality. It's not your identity. It's your survival mode. It's your coping mechanism, but has nothing to do with your character, has nothing to do with your personality. Because if you would look at development of personality, what you need to remember is that our personality is based on our experiences, our belief system, and our adaptability. So the adaptations that we had to do in order to survive will impact the development of our personality. The adaptations that we had to do, that we had to develop in order to survive, prevented healthy development of our personality. This is why I always say trauma is not who you are. This is why I always say that you're more than your trauma, that trauma don't define you. These are your coping mechanisms that helped you hugely when you were little, when you needed to survive. In your adulthood, you have a choice. You can come out of it, but it takes time. It takes loads of inner work and conscious work on yourself. Another important thing about compulsive control is that we can't put control as such to one box, because compulsive control is developing based on 3 childhood wounds. There are 5 main childhood wounds, but those 3 childhood wounds are excessively linked to compulsive control. One of them is rejection, abandonment, and betrayal. So let's look at the wound of rejection. Whenever we felt rejected by our parents, by our peers, by our family members, we take it as personal attack. So we will mask that pain of rejection and we'll try to control ourselves so we won't get rejected again. So we'll try to be perfect. We try to meet people's expectations. We will try to be always on time, flawless. We will always try to be somehow for other people. So for them, it will be hard to reject us. It has huge downside to it because we never are connected to ourselves when we do that. So how does that show up in everyday life? It will be very hard for you to make any decisions on your own or be okay with the decision that you made. So for example, Haya, what do you think about my dress? Do you think I would, do I look good? What do you think? Oh, Haya, did you see my post? What do you think about it? Hi, did you see what I wrote? What are your thoughts on it? I'm thinking about booking that restaurant. Do you think it's a good idea? Haya, what do you think about this? So we constantly looking for reassurance and we're checking, we're controlling what other people will think about us. And based on that, we will form an opinion about ourselves. So this is how we control. We control how other people are thinking, and then we put that on ourselves. Oh, so if they think like my dress is too short, if they think my dress is too revealing, I can't put that on because then they will judge me. So I won't do it. Oh, that color doesn't suit me. Okay, so I will not wear that the next time. So we are constantly adjusting our own personality, our own self to somebody else. And this is how we control not only them, but also ourselves. So we're constantly trying to control how people are seeing us because we don't know how we see ourselves. Fear of abandonment is very much linked with the rejection, but it's deeper. Deeper in the sense that I can't control whether people will leave me or not. So I will control myself. I will excessively exercise. I will be very rigid how I eat. I will be very much controlling of my own behaviors, almost like I won't allow myself to do certain things. So I will not be like my parents. So I will not end up like them. So I will not allow them to abandon me because I'm very rigid. I'm very much excessively exercising. I'm controlling and I'm giving myself pain and I'm telling myself what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do, regardless whether it's good or it's bad. If I say it's good, it has to be good. There's huge fear of being vulnerable. There's huge fear of emotions. So we're constantly suppressing our emotions as well. So the last wound is betrayal. When people has betrayed us, I open up. I told them my secrets. I told them how I feel. And they said they wouldn't say it to anyone, but they did in front of everyone. So everyone now knows how I really felt. They promised they wouldn't do something and they did. So I can't trust anyone. She promised me she will not argue with Dad when we got back home. And she did. He promised me he will not cause an argument. He promised me he will not fight. He promised me that will be the last beer. And it wasn't. He promised that he will go home straight from work, but he didn't. Where does that leave us? It leaves us with belief we can't trust anyone. It leaves us with the belief that we can't rely on anyone but ourselves. It keeps us locked to ourselves. We don't open up. We don't show emotions. We don't talk about our vulnerabilities. We don't talk about our worries. We don't trust people. We don't look for connections. It keeps us very isolated. Is that a definition of happiness? Is that definition of manipulation? Now you can see how compulsive control is huge childhood trauma coping mechanism. Again, you can't put control into one box. You can't understand control as one thing. There are many different types of control. There are many different reasons for control. So, types of control, I would put them into the two categories, and then based on those two, there will be more different types. So, one is control of self. So, this is where we control our own self, our own emotions, when we control how people are viewing us and how we are seen in the world. So how this could look like is that we would be very good at controlling our external environment. So for example, we'd be fantastic at cleaning everything every day. It will be a big part of our daily tasks, things to do, because when we clean our environment, we will feel like we have some kind of cause. We have a say, we become managers. When we are controlling of ourselves, we don't allow ourselves to feel. We're very much suppressing our emotions. We hate vulnerability. We don't accept vulnerability at all. We see it as something weak, something that we don't do, something that we constantly suppressing not to feel it. Be fine. Get over it. Build a bridge. It's fine. It's okay. Doesn't really impact me. Don't dwell on it. It happened in the childhood. Why would that impact me right now? So you can see how disconnected you are because of that. You can see how compulsive control like this really disconnects us from ourselves. And isn't that definition of trauma? More behaviors will be very much strict plan. And when I'm talking about planning your day, I'm talking about right to the minute of what are you going to do every single minute of the day. This is how much time I'm going to have for self-care. This is how much time I'm going to give myself to drive to work. This is how much I'm going to give myself to work. This is what I'm going to do on my lunchtime. This is what I'm going to do when I come back. Every single minute of the day is being planned and organized. And when something goes not according to your plan, you're in panic. You're being triggered. Back to unsafety. You're losing control. It's bad. It's huge trauma trigger. But yet that control gives you sense of safety. That control gives you, yes, I'm the manager because I have a say. I'm a leader here. Also, how do we recognize whether we have compulsive control over ourselves? When our inner critic is very much activated. It's very active, very critical, and no matter what we do, it's hard for us to praise ourselves. It's hard for us to acknowledge the good parts in us. We will always find a way to criticize ourselves. We'll always find a flaw. We'll always find a way that could be better. It's good, but I could do this. It's fine, but the next time I should be doing this more. It's fine, yeah, I guess it's okay, but the next time I should be doing this and that. So we're never really happy with ourselves. Avoiding spontaneity. We don't do spontaneous things. We hate when someone surprises us. We don't like surprises. We think it's unnecessary. Excitement, like, whoa, surprise! It's like, yeah, whatever. I prefer you told me so I could be prepared. I prefer you told me so I would know how to dress up at least. It's fine, but don't do it again. So it doesn't allow us to have fun. It doesn't allow us to be creative and go with the flow and experience life as it is. But there you go. And this is another definition of survival mode, when our playfulness is actually hugely decreased. So when we control ourselves, we control life. No room for fun, no room for playfulness, no room for spontaneity. So another aspect then of compulsive control is external control, when we will try to control our environment. So we might be fantastic at solving problems for others. We are going to be constantly savers. Oh, you have a problem? Let me deal with that. You have an issue? I'm going to fix that for you. No problem. I'm here to help you. Look, you can rely on me. No problem. And with that, when we take responsibilities that are not ours, when we feel like we want to constantly help others at our own cost, because that's what is usually happening, we're getting validation. We're getting that boost of I'm important, I'm needed, I'm there for them. I'm feeling good about myself because they feel good about me. So it's like, again, their behavior dictates whether you can be happy with yourself or not. And what does that do is there's a huge risk in that itself, because that kind of survival mechanism is actually addictive. It's addictive because it allows us to feel good, and we will want to feel good, especially when we are in constant survival mode. Another form of external control could be when we try to manage people's time. We're constantly following up on their own tasks. You said you will do this. Did you do that? Oh, hi, let me just check. You said you will book the restaurant. Did you do that? Hi, I'm just checking. Did you I'm just wondering, how is that going? You said you will do it. Did you book yourself yet? Did you make that appointment yet? How did you finish that job you said you will do? Hi, how is it going with the job that we said we were going to do? Is it done yet? We're constantly checking on other people. So we're constantly checking on them because we don't trust that they will take responsibility and that they will follow up on the things that they said that they will do. So instead, we try to push them, we try to manage, we try to control, we try to just so we can feel safe. We follow up and we make sure it's done. Lack of trust, lack of freedom, lack of let them be, let them do. They say they will do it. I'm trusting that they will do it. It's not there. Another thing is asking constantly about other people's opinions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Did you see me in this? Do you think I should cut my hair? Do you think I look better in blonde? What do you think about my new boyfriend? What do you think about my new girlfriend? Do you like my new car? I'm thinking about changing the job. What do you think about this? So we're constantly looking for validations. We're constantly looking for other people's opinions so we then can establish how we feel about ourselves. Again, a form of control, a form of management. So what are the beliefs beyond that need to control? If I let go, I fail. I will be judged. I won't be good enough. I fell apart. If others won't act like I need them to, I won't be safe. I can't trust anyone but myself. I need to be perfect to be accepted. If I let go, I die. If I let go, my whole world will collapse. My existence is at risk when I don't control. These are huge statements. Beyond them, there's huge trauma, there's huge pain, there's huge suffering. It's easier to say, oh, this person is just controlling. this person is very manipulative. The truth is that they needed to be like this to survive. So if this is you, if this really resonates with you, you can heal from that. But don't expect yourself to, after one podcast, doing a bit of journaling, everything will change. Because as I said, this behavior, this survival mechanism is addictive. So because it gives you safety, because it feels good, because it allows you to have some kind of power, some kind of say how your life goes, you will need to teach yourself the other way around. You will need to teach yourself and give yourself a different coping mechanism, much more healthier. You will slowly, and I really underline this with a red color, slowly redirect your beliefs and your coping mechanism into much more trusting ones. But for today, because it's Back to Self podcast, I will give you a few questions to journal about, few maybe sentences to finish off. So, what will happen if I let go? Why did I need to control myself and the environment? When did this need develop? Do I still need it? If so, why? If I let go today, if I let go of that control today, I would be, finish the sentence. My biggest fear today is that I'm afraid that if I let go, I will be, finish the sentence. How this control helped me before and where doesn't serve me anymore. So with those questions, hopefully you will start to understand yourself. It will help you open up the window, the door to your inner world and to understand your subconscious mind. Because compulsive control is not something that we choose consciously, that we constantly are aware of, and this is, we take huge enjoyment out of it, and we just deciding, you know what, I think I'm just going to control myself and the other person, and I'm just going to decide that I can't form my own opinions about myself, so I will ask my friend to tell me, and she will indicate where can I go with my own self-worth today. We don't do that. It's subconscious. Because it's subconscious, it requires you to work on yourself, be patient with yourself, give yourself time to do it. It won't happen magically. It won't happen after one podcast. You have to keep checking in yourself. You have to go almost in the mindset of rehab, because this involves work and self-awareness. My own rehab from compulsive control, I could easily say it's in the last at least 10 years, maybe even more than that. So it's not something that will happen magically overnight. It's something that you constantly need to work on, reflect on, and always, if you can't check it immediately, it's something that you can allow yourself to reflect on afterwards and give yourself different options. Because it's easier to blame, it's easier not to do anything, it's easier to say, I don't care about this. But the fact that you're watching this, the fact that you stayed here for nearly 1 hour, it says a lot that you're ready. So give yourself credit for that as well. There was time in my life where I needed control to survive. I don't know where would I be if I didn't have that survival coping mechanism. I needed it so badly because my safety was at risk nearly every day. That's how I felt. So control gave me huge sense of safety. Control gave me huge sense of empowerment, that I have a say, that I can decide about my life, that if I will be certain ways, the pain will be less. That if I will act and look certain ways, my sorrow will be less. Only when I realized I actually need to look inside of my heart to see what is in there. I need to look at my wounds. I need to look at my heart and the pain and embrace that. I only then realized I can let go of that control. Slowly, but I'm doing it. And ever since my relationship with my husband, with my children, with my brother, with my sister-in-law, with my parents, it has improved, but it needed time. I needed time. I needed time to heal. I needed time to learn how to trust myself, not with control, but with my vulnerabilities. I needed time to learn how to trust my own emotions. I needed time to learn how to even listen to my emotions. I just needed time to learn how to live again. Not surviving, but how to live again. How to find joy, how to find freedom in the way I am. And with that permission comes huge courage to let go of what was known, to let go of what felt like normal. And this is what I wish for all of you, to find that courage inside you and to start looking inside your heart, to start giving yourself permissions to be and not to control how other people are seeing you. Let them see you the way they need to see you, but what is important is how you are seeing yourself. And you can take responsibility for that without looking for permissions to look, to feel good about yourself. I would love to thank you so much for your presence. I want to thank you for being here, for listening, and I would really appreciate if you could subscribe this channel or leave a comment below. It will help me hugely expand and help other people. I'm creating this content with loads of love, with loads of passion. So if you feel like this is something that maybe a friend would benefit from, share it with your friends. I see you next time. Bye.